All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're digging into a seriously dark, terrifying true story. We're looking at the real-life 1949 Maryland Exorcism. This isn't just an urban legend, folks. It's a heavily documented, chilling historical event that actually inspired cinema's absolute greatest horror movie. We are going to break down exactly what went down, step by step, using the original source accounts. And trust me, what we uncover here is far stranger and honestly way more disturbing than any fiction.
Now, you probably know the cinematic version, right? The 1973 Hollywood blockbuster with the young girl, the spinning head, the wild special effects. But the reality? It's a completely different kind of terrifying. The real case actually centers on a 14-year-old boy from Maryland. Most people know him by the alias Roland Doe, but for our explainer today, we're just going to call him Robbie. Look, there were no Hollywood CGI tricks here. This was a real, deeply disturbed family, medical professionals who were completely baffled, and a chain of escalating supernatural events that, honestly, still defy logic today.
Okay, let's set the stage. Act 1, the catalyst and corrupted innocence. So every haunting kind of needs an open door to start, right? For Robbie, that door was opened by his Aunt Harriet. She was a professor who was super fascinated by paranormal and dark studies, and she frequently tried communicating with the dead. When Robbie was grieving and just desperately wanted to contact his late parents, Harriet actually gave the 14-year-old a Ouija board. And Robbie didn't just casually use it, he became totally obsessed, playing with it literally every single day. But the real breaking point? Aunt Harriet suddenly passes away. This leaves Robbie absolutely shattered, and he becomes completely reliant on that very Ouija board to reach the exact person who gave it to him. So he's desperately trying to summon his aunt back using this board, and in doing so, he inadvertently triggers this massive wave of disturbing phenomena around the house. At first, the family starts hearing these really eerie scratching noises echoing from inside the walls. Unsettling for sure, but then it escalates to full-blown auditory hallucinations. We're talking the disembodied sound of a woman crying, followed by this loud, maniacal laughing. And it didn't just stay in the walls. The family soon finds these unexplained, deep, physical scratch marks covering Robbie's entire body. The psychological toll was literally manifesting physically on him. The whole house was totally on edge. Moving right along to Act 2, the escalation and the shadows enter. Things shifted from just unsettling noises to absolute visceral supernatural terror one night when Robbie was left home alone. Picture this. He sits down to play with the Ouija board, trying yet again to call out to Aunt Harriet, and the environment itself just reacts to whatever he invited in. Out of absolutely nowhere, every door and window in the house starts banging violently. And it's methodical, specifically a rhythmic pattern of 3 knocks, a pause, and then repeating. Then, the lights in Robbie's room start flickering at this rapid, dizzying pace. Finally, Robbie's head starts to spin as 2 distinct black shadows materialize out of thin air and begin swirling wildly around his bedroom. You can imagine he's completely terrified by these shadows and the chaotic banging, so Robbie just bolts. He sprints down the hall to his late aunt's bedroom looking for some kind of safety. He bursts through the door and he sees a woman sitting right there on the bed. Her hair is covering her face and she's just calmly brushing it. Relief washes over him, right? He calls out to her. But when the woman pulls her hair back, it is not his aunt. The face staring back at him is decaying and rotting, with solid white eyes and literal worms crawling on it. She looks right at him, lets out this horrible laugh, and sticks her tongue out. But wait, it actually gets worse. Caught in this total nightmare, Robbie turns to sprint out of the room, but his exit is blocked. A second entity, this time a demon with glowing red eyes and long, sharp teeth, is just standing in the doorway. Robbie instantly freezes. It's like he's completely possessed, just hijacked right then and there. The bedroom door slams shut and locks entirely on its own. When the family finally gets back and breaks into the room, what they find is a scene of pure horror. Robbie's unconscious, but his body is moving on its own, violently tearing apart a dead cat and eating it. When he sees his family, he screams at them in this heavy, unnatural voice before just passing out entirely. Which brings us to the final phase. Act 3, the exorcisms and the Mark of 10. So, medical science and psychiatrists? Completely baffled. They had no explanation for Robbie's animalistic state or the weird stuff happening around him. Desperate, the family turns to the church and brings in 2 experienced priests. But the very second these holy men walk into the house, absolute chaos erupts. Robbie has to be physically tied to his bed. He's screaming wildly, hurling horrific insults at God, cursing the priests out. Attempting to get some control, the priests splash holy water on the boy. The reaction is instantaneous.
Robbie's eyes roll back until they are entirely white, his face contorts into something demonic, and the heavy bedroom furniture literally starts sliding and moving entirely on its own. Robbie lets out an agonizing scream and just faints. And you'd think the priest showing up would be a quick fix. Not at all. Days turned into weeks. Despite multiple grueling exorcism attempts, the possession was only growing stronger. Whatever was inside Robbie realized it was being challenged, and the supernatural violence stopped just moving furniture around and began to brutally manifest directly onto Robbie's own flesh. During one particularly terrifying session, the sheer energy in the room caused Robbie's bed to literally levitate right off the ground. The priests froze. Robbie's clothes suddenly tore open completely by themselves, and right before their eyes, an unseen force carved a massive, bloody symbol into his chest. It was an X. And this brings us to the terrifying significance of the number 10. Here is the crucial, horrifying takeaway from that moment. These priests were highly educated in ancient languages, so they immediately realized that this bloody X wasn't just a random scratch mark. Well, actually, it was an X, but specifically, it was the Latin numeral for 10. The entities were sending a clear, mocking message straight to the church. Robbie's body hadn't been hijacked by just one spirit. He was possessed by 10 distinct demonic entities. The priests realized they weren't fighting a demon. They were facing an entire legion. And now we reach the climax, the final exorcism. The very next day, knowing exactly what they were up against, these brave priests returned to Robbie's room for one final, all-or-nothing battle for this kid's soul. But imagine walking into a room and seeing this. When they enter, Robbie wasn't tied to the bed where they had left him. No, he was literally clinging to the ceiling. He's looking down at them, laughing mockingly, and speaking rapidly in this deep, heavy voice, using perfect, fluent Latin, a language this 14-year-old boy had absolutely zero prior knowledge of. The priests don't even hesitate. They instantly begin reciting the rites for the final exorcism. Immediately, the power of the ritual breaks the entity's hold on gravity, and Robbie falls hard off the ceiling onto the bed. His body stiffens violently, locking into these awful, unnatural positions while he screams in absolute agony. And then comes the physical purge. Robbie violently vomits this strange, black, sticky liquid. It's this massive expulsion of dark matter, and the second it stops, Robbie just collapses into a deep, silent sleep. The craziest part? The next morning, the contrast is almost as shocking as the haunting itself. The terror just evaporates. Robbie wakes up feeling physically exhausted, sure, but psychologically, he is completely normal. All 10 demonic entities were just gone. But maybe the strangest part of this entire cure was that his memory was wiped totally clean. He had absolutely zero recollection of the Ouija board, the rotting women, the levitation, or the incredibly violent exorcisms. Nothing. Which leaves us with this final lingering thought to close out our explainer today. Robbie miraculously went on to live a very normal, quiet life, completely shielded by his own amnesia. He forgot the whole shebang. But for his aunt's family who lived in that terrifying house, and for those two priests who stood their ground against unseen horrors and a boy speaking Latin on the ceiling, could you ever forget witnessing 10 demons? It really is a testament to the fact that while some victims get to move on, the witnesses to true horror carry those scars forever. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive today. Until next time, keep questioning what you think you know.